Hi, it's the end of February and I have got in my roundup for the second half of the month, I have got 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 books to read. Not to read, I've read them. 7 books to tell you about. A varied selection, and I have now started the long list for the Oto Carnegies. So I've got some middle grade ones on here, and going forward there will be some middle grade ones as well. I think it's the 6th of March the Women's Prize for Fiction long list is announced, so I am so excited about that one. So my fingers will be tapping out my library reservations as soon as that appears. So come March, then there'll be a mixture of Women's Prize for Fiction and the Carnegies, along with the arcs that I always read anyway. Anyway, enough rambling. What have I read? I started off with Stuart Turton's new one, The Last Murder at the End of the World, which comes out on the 28th of March. I enjoyed this one. It's it's an unconventional thriller, as his tend to be if you've read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It's in an unspecified time, and there's been a catastrophe, and a fog has wiped out the world. A fog that is filled with these insects, creatures that tear everything apart and devour it. There's only one island left. There's 100 people on it, just over 100 people, and 3 elders. The 3 elders are all over 100 years old. And the village lives in peace and harmony until there's a murder. But it's a very strange village. There are anomalies there. Women don't give birth. The children are given to them when they're aged 8. That type of thing. Anyway, there's a murderer, and Emery has got 92 hours to solve this murder, because only by solving the murder will they stop the fog. Will the fog stop? And the problem is that everybody's memories have been erased, so nobody knows what they were doing when the murder occurred, because inside everybody's heads, this is AI consciousness called Abby, who almost controls them, and she has wiped all their memories. So that's that one. There's lots of curveballs in there, and I never saw the ending. For that. Then I read a collection of short stories by Camilla Grudova, who wrote Children of Paradise, I think it was, for the Women's Prize for Fiction last year. She's shortlisted with this book on the Dylan Thomas Prize long list, and it's full of body horror and all sorts of weird, gruesome things. They're not connected, but you've got things that pop up, like custard and Ovaltine and things like that or eat all the stories. And you've got, because it's body horror, it's full of feces and periods and that sort of stuff. And you've got poison, exploding factories, boarding schools where nobody ever leaves, and all the pranks that you hear about in boarding school stories get more and more developed. Is that the word? You've got a rest home for girls whose periods have stopped, who all wear nappy bustles, which are inspected daily to see whether their periods have restarted. You've got a meat eater who keeps a man. It's just really weird, gruesome, full of body horror. Then this one, which had been on my radar for ages. I'm very late to the party with this one. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I'd heard so much hype about it last year, so I thought I would pick it up and read it. You've got Sam and Sadie, who are friends who are gamers, who create games together. And it's the story. I was expecting from everything that I'd read about it that I was going to need a box of tissues at the end to wipe up my tears, but I didn't. Have I become hard-hearted? I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I liked Sam a lot more than Sadie. Story of friendship, rivalry, fame and creativity, betrayal and tragedy. I like the visual element of the games. Not that I'm a gamer, so some of the terminology I didn't know. But yeah, I mean, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Then I read The Guest Cat by Takishi Hiraide. Because I like Japanese books about cats, I picked this one up. And it wasn't about a cat. I was expecting a novel about a cat, but it wasn't really. It was a novel about beauty, taking beauty in the simple things. Chibi is the little cat, and he visits this couple who are childless, who are petless, who don't really like cats. And they live in this sort of little area, and he visits them, and it pops in and sees them, and and they become attached to him. And you have a very poetic book about changing seasons. The author is almost painting a picture. You feel that he's painting a picture. And this couple, through this cat who visits them, they begin to take joy in life, and they learn about the fragility of life and the sorrow. It's a sort of melancholy little novel, but I enjoyed it because there's so much beauty in it, even though it wasn't really about the cat that I was expecting it to be. Then the first one I read off the Yoto Carnegie list was The Little Match Girl Strikes Back by Emma Carroll, which merges Hans Christian Andersen's tale of the Little Match Girl with a real life event, a strike in 1888 in London. Bridie is our little match girl. Her mother works in this match factory, and her job is dipping matches into white phosphorus, which is a highly toxic substance that causes all sorts of health problems. It's magic as well. There is magical realism in this, because in the Hans Christian Andersen's story, the little match girl strikes a match and she sees visions. In this one, Bridie strikes a match and she sees the visions, but she drops into them. She becomes part of them for the length of time that it takes the match to burn out. And she sees that there is hope of escape from the poverty that they're in, hope of getting her mother away with this factory where this substance is poisoning her. But she must get the women together to demand a change. And it introduces youngsters to the idea of unity and resistance. Bridie is determined, and you've got the strike, the word strike a match, and the strike that happens. Then the final one I read for this month was Swimming Lessons by Claire Fuller. I didn't read it, I listened to it on Audible. And it had been on my, Audible library for ages. I thought I'd pick it up. You've got the family coming together because Gil, the father, has had a fall, and Nan, the elder daughter, calls Flora, the youngest daughter, to his sort of bedside. And this is 12 years after their mother Ingrid disappeared. Flora has never believed that her mother drowned. She believes her mother's always around somewhere. And what you've got here is you've got past you've got the present where the daughters are with Gil, and then you've got the past, because Ingrid wrote letters to Gil about her marriage, about her life, about their life. It's the story of their marriage, and she's written the letters and she's put them inside books that Gil has collected. Gil has got a house full of books. He collects books. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books in his house, and she slipped these letters into these books. So you don't really know, did he ever find them? Did he ever read them? It's a book that sort of leaves you, did he really know what was going on? Did he really know what Ingrid was thinking? And have the daughters ever read these letters? It's fascinating. I loved it, and I loved hearing Ingrid's story of this marriage. I loved that one. So those were the 7 books that I read for the second half of the month. Add to I think I read 7 in the first half as well, didn't I? Yes. My book of the first half of the month was The Doll Factory, but I think it has just been knocked off its perch by Dogs of the Deadland, the Anthony McGowan book, because I loved the tension in that. I loved the harshness in it all. Most did I tell you about that one? No, I didn't. Hang on, I haven't finished yet. The last book I read, I was going to say, was Dogs of the Deadland, which is now my book of the month. Silly woman. This is the second one off the Carnegie long list. Sorry, I've got very jumbled on this, haven't I? I've told you what my book of the month is before I've told you about it. It's set after the Chernobyl disaster, and the opening chapter, and you've got little 5-year-old Natalie, who has to leave her pup, Zoya, behind. She's a Samoyed dog, gorgeous white fluffy dog. She's had to leave her behind. They've had to evacuate and leave the dogs. And we meet Misha and Bratton, who are 2 pups. And the first part of the story is these 2 pups learning through their mother how to survive in the wild. And it's the mother teaching them. And then we get the introduction of the wolves and other predators. And there is so much brutality and tension in this book. It's fantastic. And you have Natalie popping up. Sorry, it's not Natalie, it's Natasha. Natasha popping up through the story, and you know that losing Zoya never ever lost her. And it's a story of the bond between human and animal, the survival of these dogs. And what I loved about this is it's not talking animals. These animals communicate by growls and nips and snarls. You don't have these little cute animals chatting to each other, which is what I feared this book would be, but it isn't. And I adored it. So that is my book of the month, Anthony McGowan's Dog of the Deadlands, which is on the O2 Carnegie list. So happy reading. Take care.